the stakes you're going to get, and then when you get the prompt for the tickets as well, please make sure you increase the number of those tickets. So choose 2. You get the prompt, increase the number of tickets. You find a number of tickets options that have been given to you, increase it, do 30, do 40, so that you get 1,000, 2,000 Ghana cedis each time we do the draw credited into your mobile money account. For those of you who have joined us, we're grateful. The most important thing is for all of us to be in a great position to say that we're going to enjoy the morning. Iceberg Jr. already joining us, Oscar Kwame, Nidro Mosaki, and a couple of you. Kweku Aaron joining us from Kufodia. Wish you all the best for the day, Kweku. Nia Tukwekwe, I don't know when you sleep. I'm always seeing you on all the streams, whether it's the vetting for Parliament, it's Key Point, it is wherever you're always on the stream. We're always grateful. Money, need money as well. Please make sure you share the stream. Pearl, Imelda Nassar, all of you. Let me say good morning to Chairman Prosper. I wish you all the best for the day as well. Great man, great man, great man. And then also Godwin Tamaklo, Group Chief Executive for the Rate Group. They've been 11 years in the business of downstream petroleum, transportation as well, the OMC sector as well, and playing some great roles. Wishing you all the best for the day. But in the meantime, there are important or pertinent issues we have to discuss. Just about 2 or 3 days ago, the Speaker of Parliament did announce on the floor of the House, telling us that some 4 members of Parliament, the leading whips of both sides, and then a number of individuals as well. Jerry Ahmed, he's a lawyer by profession as well. I've known him for a number of years. He's also the member of Parliament for Wejagba. We're also being suspended. And then Hassan Tampoli as well. And so we're here to take a critical look at the reaction the minority has had on that decision by the Speaker to suspend these individuals, Roxy Nelson Dapamakbo, Frank Anodompre, Hassan Tampoli, Jerry Ameshaib. Good morning to you, Jerry, wherever you are. Wish you all the best for the day. But today we know that the sittings for the appointment committee won't be coming on, but tomorrow we hope to have that continued. But what do you make of it as well? The Speaker's decision, looking forward to what it means by way of the precedent is set in the House, and dovetailing into the fact that the Global Info Analytics Survey is indicating that it looks like the sample that was picked, being the voters as well as Ghanaians, say that, well, the country is headed in some direction in relation to that, and that the Speaker should be given a lot of nod positively for bringing everybody to book, so to speak. And they feel that the chairman of the appointment committee, Bernard Ahia, for legal practitioners as well, is doing something right, despite some of the concerns that ordinary people have expressed. What do you make of it? Share the stream, and we'll have some great conversations. Joining us on the stream is going to be Dr. Samuel Ifriye. He's a regular on the channel as well, helping us with discussions, whether it's the key points, the big issues. He'll be joining us from his base in Kumasi. Dr. Samuel Ifriye. Good morning to you, Dr. Samuel Ifriye. Let me just do the introduction. But in here we have Eduji Tamaklo, regular, always here on Mondays if he can. And good morning to you. He is currently the Chief Executive for the MPA as well.
Good morning to cherished viewers.
Great. And then also
my learned friend.
Lawyer Pia Dankwa, legal practitioner. Good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
Great. Great.
Good morning to your viewers, and good morning to Council.
And we know that the President has also put together a committee that is supposed to organize the National Education Reform Forum. So we're going to have a whole forum that will be organized. This is following the Committee for the National Economic Dialogue. And again, the subject is they are supposed to put together the event. So they're supposed to make sure they do good liaison with key stakeholders. It's headed by Professor George K.T. Odro, Professor Goski Alabi. She also taught me TQM at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, back in the day. So Professor Goski Alabi, Professor Rosemary Bosu, and then also Samuel Ewuku, PhD as well, so Dr. Ewuku. Among others, we have Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare is the executive director for one of the biggest education think tanks right here, Africa Education Watch. Professor Smile GC has been around for a long time. And then Stephen Owusu, Inu Sashiraz, all there. We don't have their pictures that we verified at the time that we did this, so that's why we have represented them with our silhouettes, but what does it mean as well? So make sure you join us. What do you make of this? And let's have some great conversations thereof. But this is what transpired over the last couple of days before we had the weekend. We'll take you through chaotic scenes in Parliament. There was massive distraction to the equipment. I believe it was on Thursday. And let's just give some sound up. You have a sound?
And if there is somebody might get the public address system has been destroyed.
Okay, so it means a lot because following that we had distraction that was left. You will know that the Member of Parliament for Nsawam Adrodri, one of the leaders for the minority in the House as well, said Muntutu cable, no? I interpreted it to mean that Muntutu table, no? Apparently it was cable, I'm being told. Don't know who had. So we had distraction, but it was quickly refurbished or repaired or restored for the next day's sitting. But what do you make of this? Okay, so now the Speaker's decision to do the suspension, here it is.
Any member found culpable shall face the appropriate disciplinary actions as prescribed by the Constitution 1992, the Parliament Act of 1965, and the Standing Orders of Parliament. Members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacement. Any member found culpable shall face the appropriate disciplinary actions as prescribed by the Constitution 1992, the Parliament Act of 1965, and the Standing Orders of Parliament. Members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacement. In pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 1992 and the Standing Orders of Parliament, I further direct the Clerk to Parliament to formally lodge a complaint with the Ghana Police Service to conduct a full criminal investigation into the matter for approval.
Since then, the minority came in and said that, we're not going to agree. So what do you make of this yourself? I mean, all this. And, well, others say there should have been more people enrolled. For example, Samuel Giovanni, Sherry Giovanni also says that there should have been more than just 4. That's what he says. What do you make of this? So Dr. Samuel Efree is joining us from Kumasi. He's a political analyst, a regular contributor to great discussions right here. Good morning to you, Dr.
Yeah, good morning, Roland.
Somewhere Free. Great. Good to have you join us, right?
Yes, and I wish you Happy New Year. This is the first time I'm getting in touch with you.
Oh.
And I wish you well for the year 2025.
Happy New Year. We'll regularly be having you every week, so you don't have a problem.
My pleasure always.
Fantastic, man. But in the meantime, it looks like a decision has been taken by the Speaker setting this level of precedent, because I think hitherto, Edwige Tamaklo, we're told, or I was even doing the analysis that day, and we're told that, well, if you look at what the laws are, etc., the decision will be what the Speaker will have to do. Musa Dankwa is also joining us, Executive Director for Global Info Analytics. Good morning, Musa Dankwa.
Okay. So, so once again, good morning to all of us. Before I proceed, there's a young man who has been extremely helpful to our communication setup, Periana. Today happens to be his birthday. I want to use this platform to wish him happy birthday. I mean, within the NDC communication setup, he has been extremely helpful. And my very good friend, Honorable John Dumelo, who celebrates his birthday today. And again, Chairman Prosper, wherever he is, my good morning greetings to him. You see, what I have watched on TV, and because of one or two reasons, I'm not able to follow the entire. But this one happened during the night. So I had a benefit of following up the proceedings. And I have always said right from the beginning that the posturing of the chairman of the appointments committee, he has so far handled that thing with a bit of tact. The reason is simple. You see, right from the beginning, for the purposes of vetting of ministerial nominees, by convention and per the rules of engagement, you needed what is called memos on each one of them. The memos are usually write-ups from people, whether the people are suitable or not. Now, the essence is to help the appointment committee to answer or to ask questions that are tailored relative to the people's character, qualification issues, and more importantly, whether they are suitable for the position. It does appear that the minority specifically agreed more or less to waive the timelines for some of these proceedings. And so with that waiver, the chair of the committee decided, maybe in a very tactical and strategic way, to accommodate some of the issues. The main thing is that H.E. John Dramani Mahama has given a clear indication that within 14 days upon swearing in, he needed to form his cabinet. And the minority at that point were willing to cooperate to ensure. And so the chair, and I have seen that many of our people were not particularly enthused with his posturing on the committee. But you see, like I always say, at home, when I'm dealing with my children, I deal with it with a bit of tact. Because you see, when my child picks this phone and says you drop the phone, I have every right to shout upon the child and say, if you do it, I'll beat you. I also have the right to say, no, you give it to me quietly, and then maybe the consequences after maybe. Because for the child, she doesn't know the benefit or what this phone means to me. You understand? When she drops it, the only thing I can do is possibly reprimand, beat, by which time I have lost a valuable thing. And so I looked at the posturing of the chairman of the appointment committee relative to the things that were happening, like a father and child situation, where you need tact, when you value who stands to lose more. The minority at this point, and the micro minority for that matter, have nothing to lose in this conversation. In fact, they have nothing to lose. Governance is left with H.E. John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana. He has the responsibility to compose, as it were, his cabinet within the time that he has stipulated. Timeline, 14 days. And so for the minority, as long as they can delay the process, it inures to their political strategy. Because for them, possibly a failure on the part of the NDC, inures politically to them. If this government fails, that becomes the basis on which they can approach the good people of Ghana in 2028. And so in terms of who stands to lose, who stands to gain, we have more to lose. And for that matter, requires that we deal with them with a bit of tact. And that is what has happened so far. Now, if you look at the event where you could hear Anodompre openly, possibly he didn't know that the microphone was still on.
I don't understand. You mean where he made your Muntutu cable? No?
Yes. So when you hear him, he didn't know that the microphones were still on and were active. And for that matter, could be heard openly saying, Muntutu cable no. No, at the point where Muntutu Kebono came in, he was acting irresponsible. He was no longer acting as an honorable member of parliament. You understand? Because listen carefully, the items that were destroyed are public property. It is now going to cost you and I, the taxpayer, to replace those items. At whose cost? And so the intervention from the Speaker of Parliament, respectfully suspending these individuals, it is to serve as deterrent, that nobody is above the law. I've heard experts say the Speaker does not have any legal basis to proceed. First of all, who is the head of the legislature? Who is the head? Who is the head?
The Speaker of Parliament, as designated by the Constitution.
Now,
what's your point with that?
The point I'm making is that there must be an implied disciplinary authority within him. It shouldn't be something that should be statutorily provided for. It is something that should come together with the office. If you are a head and you cannot, as it were, discipline, what will be the basis of that? I've heard the respected Osechemen Sabonsu make the point that he ought to have referred the conduct of the MPs to the Privileges and Immunity Committee for them to deal with the issues and appropriate recommendations be made. Listen carefully. There's a saying that when you delay the retribution or punishment, it gives a sense that people, as it were, can misbehave and just go. What happened on that day on national television did not speak well, with the greatest respect, to our members of parliament who engage in those misconduct. Because clearly, to hear a member of parliament say, Muntutu cables, no, to see a member of parliament pick chairs and put on tables. I mean, this is what, excuse my language, we were admonished in secondary school not to do. You know, when we go to dining hall, and sometimes the food that is prepared, you don't like it, or something. There's small aluta, right? And then you see us hitting the saucepan and stuff on the table. This is what we were admonished in secondary schools not to do. But once you elevate the conversation to the position of an honorable member of parliament, and for that matter, acting in parliament, a certain level of conduct is expected of you. In fact, you are supposed, that is why the choice of word, honorable member of parliament, is not used on every Ghanaian. Yeah. In fact, you are supposed to live like Caesar's wife. You are supposed to live above reproach. Now, which one of these MPs that engage in putting chairs on tables and others can go back to his secondary school and say he's preaching proper conduct to those students? You cannot do. So the point I want to make is that in all of this, let our MPs, with the greatest respect, appreciate that they are there for us, we are there for them. Maybe going forward, I would also crave the indulgence of my learned senior, Afenyo Markin, that his approach relative to questioning is creating an impression that he is using the August platform of the appointment committee to settle political score. Why do I say so? You will notice that, and you see, his own conduct has betrayed that particular perception or accusation.
Which conduct is that?
That is to say, there are some MPs who were like, the person is MP, had been appointed minister, we know the MPs who were at the forefront of the campaign. When those who were not come, they spend less than 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and they are gone. When others like Sam George, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Ato Forsen, and those persons who led the front runners in the campaign.
So your position that they are being targeted?
Targeted. And he's using the platform of the Appointments Committee for the sole purpose of settling scores. And most importantly, to even use that platform to whitewash Mr. Akufo-Addo. Regrettably, I think that the purpose of the Appointment Committee is to ensure that person that H.E. John Dramani Mahama has nominated for the specific ministerial appointment are suitable for the roles that they have been assigned, and not for political grandstanding. It defeats the purpose of the Appointments Committee.
All right. I would want you to come in, but Musa Dankwa put together research on it, because since you are in studio, it helps, and then also Dr. Free will join on the subject later, subsequently after you. Musa Dankwa, you've joined us. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Great, great, great. My name is Roland.
Hi, Roland.
Great, great, great. Now, the latest survey you have, it seems to be a survey that is predicated on the acceptability of the workings of the committee, the government, but particularly also whether the minority in their posture might have behaved well, are behaving well, and how that also resonates with the ordinary people. Especially when we're having this very discussion being prominent, how do we relate that to the position of the minority leader, their posture as a minority itself, whether the Appointments Committee, and then their acceptability within the public opinion of the ordinary Ghanaian, if we situate it?
Roland, if you look carefully at the work we did, we wanted to see the public perception of what is going on. And also, we've also been following the social media, and we know what has been happening on the social media in terms of the perception of people on the social media with regards to the committee as a whole, the chairman's performance, and that of Afinyo Markets, and the line of questioning, and whether the public share the view that the committee's vetting work is being used by some to engage in political point scoring. So for us, we hardly put something out there which is not public opinion. I may have my own version of what I think, but that doesn't amount to public opinion. So it is in this spirit that we tested the views of the public with regards to what is happening on the Appointment Committee. So there were largely 4 questions that we asked. One, for the voters to give us the overall assessment, whether they are satisfied or dissatisfied with the work of the Appointment Committee. If you look at what they said to us, overall, they are satisfied, marginally, in terms of percentage.
Okay.
Slightly over 54% or so say they are satisfied with the work of the committee. Now, that doesn't end there. We wanted to see the key actors on the committee. The chairman, His Honorable Bernard Ahiafo, Esquire, and also Honorable Alexander Afinyo Markin, Esquire, the minority leader, and also the ranking member on that committee. So we asked voters a simple question. How satisfied are they with the overall performance of the committee? And if you look at the responses we had from the public, you could see that majority, in fact, around 62% or so were satisfied with the work of the committee, with somehow satisfied being 34%, very satisfied 20%, and extremely satisfied 8%. But again, there were those who were not satisfied. Those were fell to 3%. And those who were not satisfied at all were 14%. So altogether, you have about 37% of them being unsatisfied and the remaining satisfied. So overall, there's approval for the work of the committee. But when you zoom down to the chairman of the committee, then his approval drops below that of the committee. About 19% were not satisfied at all with his performance. And then you have 24% saying that they aren't satisfied with his performance. So if you add the 19 plus 24, about 43% not satisfied. So indicating that about 57% are satisfied with his performance.
All right.
But when you come to Afenyo Martins, his is quite different in the sense that 62%, in fact 64% of respondents were not satisfied with his performance.
64?
64%. 44% were not satisfied at all with his performance.
I see.
And 20% not satisfied. So overall, I think he received the most abysmal scoring from the public with regards to the perception of the committee.
Now, was this a telephone poll?
We combined the internet poll and field poll.
And field.
So 507 or so people were interviewed across the country, randomly across the country in all the regions.
Okay. Now,
and then 455 were done over the internet.
And since you have to appear and then answer questions on this again on other media houses, the last question from us to you will be, if you take a look at least maybe followers of the MPP on social media, they seem to be giving a lot of thumbs up to Afenyo Markin, who is now the face of MPP as an opposition party. And so I would think that you go to the hub, that is the support base in Ghana, the Ashanti region of the MPP, he should be doing very well in terms of acceptability. If you just oppose those two, Facebook, the other social media platforms from core MPP account, and then also the home region, how does it look like?
No, we haven't drilled down into the regional performance of this score. But look, see, elections are not won at the base. You don't win election from the base. You win election from the center. The views of the floating voters must be also important for you. Not only just your people. Now, if you look at the scoring of these numbers, it looks very dire, and I will be surprised if within the base is even popular. I haven't done that yet, but I will be able to do so. But clearly, you should look at the overall perception of Ghanaians, not just his base in Ashanti region. And indeed, if you look at what has come from Ashanti region as an initial indication, there was a poll that was done in Ashanti region recently that shows that the MPP is in the decline in terms of party association in the Ashanti region. Before the election, MPP was 56% of voters. Now, MPP is 37%.
Very interesting statistics and outcomes you have there. But let's stay on this, and we wish you all the best for the morning, because we know that there are other research you intend doing in terms of acceptability of the Mahama government to their grassroots, and then generally whether you take a look at what we're getting from your outcome in the survey, whether there's acceptability generally for the Mahama government, which already is in this survey. So we know that you'll be giving us that. But Lawyer Apia Dankwa, we've come to the point where, thank you very much, Musa Dankwa. We've come to the point where you look at the powers and then also the authority that the MPs have, and then the decision has been taken by the Speaker, have become issues of contention. And this, rightly, is within the response of the minority. They're quoting the Standing Orders 130, they're quoting Article 19 of the Constitution, which says that you give fair hearing when it comes to some of these very matters, but this time in court, so to speak. And you say that if a question is asked, I think the minority is right. Would you say it's a bad question?
Yeah, so once again, let me say hearty good morning to your lovely viewers. And to yourself and to my learned friend here. First of all, I think the starting point for this discussion is to condemn.
Condemnation?
In no uncertain terms, the debt that was done to the Parliament of Ghana, the debt that was done to the Constitution of Ghana, the debt, insult that was done to the people, the entitled people of Ghana by the disgraceful acts on the eve of that Thursday. Indeed, when you place it within the context of how it impacts the kind of political culture we want to create in this country, and how the creation of the right political culture is the only way in which we can guarantee for ourselves this constitutional democracy, which is also the only way, in my view, where we can be guaranteed the rule of law. And then when you also consider the essence of the rule of law, purpose of the rule of law, which essentially seeks to protect our right to life, our right to our liberties, and our right to pursue our own happiness. Then indeed, the disgraceful act last Thursday really was an attack on the ability of the system to guarantee us these rights that God himself granted us. Also, when you place this in the context of the checkered history of Ghana up until 1992, in terms of the numerous uprising, and the resounding signal by the people of Ghana in the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, then really you shudder at where this responsible act of our parliamentarians is taking our country. Because in 1992...
You mean by way of their behavior?
Yeah, because in 1992, the people of Ghana said, listen, we are tired, we want to be governed by the Constitution. And our Constitution laid out the values and principles therein. One of the fundamental values was the value of tolerance for diverse views. Because our Constitution said, listen, we need to have a democracy which is multi-party in nature and character. That was a recognition of the fact that there could be a multitude of views, multitude of ideas. But within that multitude of ideas, and it was necessary that we tolerate each and every diverse view. That was one of the fundamental values that the people of Ghana signaled that they wanted to be, you understand? So, to have parliament, which essentially is the house of democracy, because parliament essentially is the house of democracy, and to have MPs who are supposed to be the custodians and the vanguard of these principles, to have MPs who just about 3 weeks ago took an oath to be faithful to those values, to those principles, who took an oath to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution of Ghana and the principles and values that they represent, to have them resort to fisticuffs, to violence, you understand, to show the act of intolerance in all its disglory, only on the issue of I'm tired, I'm not tired. We should close, we shouldn't close. We can't proceed, we will proceed.
I'm tired, I'm not tired.
Because what was the point of contention? The point of contention was, whereas the majority for that they wanted to continue with the vetting, the minority for that, listen, we can't go on. And for me, it's not a good excuse to say that the business of the day did not include the vetting of some to the honorable minister nominee. It's not a good excuse, because you cannot show this level of intolerance to the extent that you blatantly breached the law of Ghana when they destroyed the property of Ghana. Because that's a criminal act. That's a criminal act. And what they did, in my view, is one of the biggest contemptuous acts to Parliament that you can ever think about. It's a day of shame, and unfortunately, the signal it gives to the people of Ghana in this our effort to create that right political culture that will tolerate diverse views and also hold political leadership accountable is really serious and clearly the polls by Musa Dankwa signals how Ghanaians rightly views them. But having said that, if indeed the purpose of creating that right political culture, the purpose of creating a system where we are tolerant, we hold political leadership accountable, all in the aim of guaranteeing for ourselves the rule of law, then we need to also understand that under no circumstance must we sacrifice the principles of the rule of law on any altar.
Even if they are members of parliament?
Yes, as under no circumstance must we sacrifice the principles, the values of the rule of law on any altar. Now, one of the abiding principles of the rule of law is understanding that any power that you wield must emanate from one law or the other. I understand. And so, as much as, in my view, and I think I said it here, in my view, one of the stars of the last 4 years, the governance of the last 4 years, one of the stars, if you push me, I could say that he was the man of the match. if I have to,
so one of the man of the matches?
No, one of the stars.
The man of the match?
One of the stars over the governance of the last 4 years. Because the governance isn't just about the executive, but it also includes the parliament. In my view,
playing oversight role.
My view was the speaker. He did a yeoman's job. He showed leadership. I loved his speeches. I loved how he continued to remind them of the oath they took and the essence of their governance. You understand? But having said that, I do not agree entirely with the position he has taken. So I must commend him for recommending them, for asking that the clerk should pursue criminal action. Excellent. I support him. Excellent. That's the right way to go, because it's time that political leadership are held accountable for their actions. I support him in terms of the committee he set up to look into the disgrace, because really it's contemptuous. If you read, I think, at section 30 or article 30 of their standing orders, when you act in a manner which is an affront to the dignity of Parliament, it is contempt. But to the extent that he's already pronounced some 2 weeks suspension, I'm struggling to find the basis for that call and the basis as in where he had that powers.
I think he was being too preemptive. And that he wasn't clothed with the powers.
Exactly. In fact, I wish he had those powers.
But he doesn't.
I honestly wish, in my view, and that's my view. Probably there's some powers somewhere that I don't know. Probably we can expand some powers there, because when you read the standing orders, it is also the duty of the Speaker to uphold the integrity of Parliament. If that, as whether or not that will clothe him with those powers is a matter of debate. You understand? Personally, I do not think that
he's clothed with those powers.
With those, even though I wished he was, and I'm saying that, you see, we should, in spite, it shouldn't matter your feeling, because law essentially is reason. It's not about feeling. But under no circumstances should we alter any aspects of the rule of law on the altar of what we may feeling, or on the altar of a strong desire to whip somebody for a clear breach of the law. Understand? So personally, like I'm saying, the MPs have disgraced themselves. They certainly do not understand the role that they ought to play. In fact, if you push me, or if I'm asked to even go deeper into this, I think on the side of the minority, it's a reflection of what has become sadly their character. Yes, because I know Dafiamako is part of those being reprimanded, but he wasn't the instigator. Yes, and I'm sure, based on how the minority were acting, he was forced to
intervene
in a negative manner. You understand? But the instigators were the minority. Honorable, what's it called? The minority chief whip should bow his head in shame. You are the whip. You are the minority whip. Your fundamental duty is to whip your members to uphold the values and principles of the country. And those ideals, those principles do not include destroying the property of Ghana or acting in a manner that undermines the integrity of Parliament. Sadly, yesterday we were worried at what happened in Sotomayor during the football match between and police was from so rest in peace. But what happened there in the football match? You see, an argument can be made that it is a reflection of what is happening in Parliament. Because if our most honorable of people of leaders cannot disagree with each other in an honorable way without resorting to acts akin to violence, then what will happen on the streets? Because beyond everything else, they are supposed to set the agenda in terms of creating that right culture. We talk about leadership in this country. We talk about I've done rules here, I've done this voting here, but we have failed to advert our mind to granting that rights that alters the culture of the people.
Okay.
And for me, that's the most critical thing, and that is essentially what Parliament did or failed to do. What's called on Thursday, and they must hold their heads in shame. We must support the Speaker to take the necessary actions, but actions which are within the confines of the law. Because at the end of the day, everything we are doing, the kind of culture we are doing, is to guarantee for us the rule of law, and that must not be sacrificed under no circumstance.
Well, certainly. Dr. Samuel Efriye, you take a look at the position taken by the Speaker and then the commentary thereof, that you rather do the referral to the appropriate committee and then where they are found to have acted contemptuously, and of course, if I can use the word guilty, so to speak, in relation to what the standing orders are, and then whether the privileges that they are supposed to enjoy within the remit of the Constitution are flouted, then the Speaker or those sanctions could have been applied, and that the Speaker shouldn't have. But we see those things on television. How, in real analysis, influence of public opinion, should we be taking a look at this?
Yes, thank you. And also, I wish to congratulate Edudzi Tamafo on his appointment.
Thank you.
And I hope that will be confirmed and then do his work. And also, you know, so far, what the Speaker's action may stem from different angles. It depends on how, I think I will agree to Edudzi's point of view in terms of the Speaker taking an immediate action to stop these unfortunate situations in Parliament, because this has been going on for a while. And I think there need to be an immediate action to stop that. But when we look at the rules of engagement in parliamentary democracy, we cannot identify anywhere that the Speaker has the legal right to suspend, explicitly stated to suspend an MP until certain procedural is being considered. So I think that is where the gap is. We need to look at the Speaker's authority in relation to suspensions of because if not, care is not taken, there could be an abuse of power or by the leader in Parliament, and that is the Speaker. So that one needs to be checked as well. And I don't know whether there's a code of conduct for parliamentarians as well, whether if you flout it, but you're given 2 weeks for that is MP suspending them. That is a definite decision. Maybe the kind of investigative committee to come out with the findings, and that is where the appropriate sanctions can be. So I think for the immediate action, chaos and that kind of maybe we can agree to the Speaker to suspend them for, but I think it was, you have not, and you also talk about due to look at sides, whether the other side came in for maybe after the investigative committee or maybe during the investigative committee. But I think I will commend Muhammad Yariga for a good diplomacy that he demonstrated within this kind of chaos. And these are the kind of leaders that we believe that it will help our parliamentary democracy. Is that we talk about ability to consult, ability to share, and these are the kind of leaders that we believe can help. Roland, we have to come up with ways and ensure that our parliamentarians are disciplined, even when they are disagreeing on certain. We also have to look at consultations as well. Is that I have the numbers. I call it micro minority. So, but if I'm micro minority and I cannot stop you, process. So they worse with the mentality that they have the numbers and they can pave them in some way through some of these processes. But I think they need to collaborate, and I believe it will work well. But there's a gap in what is going on, and I believe that the MPs of the two sides need to sit up, and so that it will come out with some code of conduct, disciplinary kind of actions for members when these rules are being flouted.
All right, thank you for this. I'll encourage you log out and then you log in again. Perhaps we've been having some audio issues. I think the internet bandwidth or connectivity a bit low there. But and since we're looking at these, we know that as members of parliament, they have privileges. And Nabu had been referring me to the privileges and immunities thereof as enshrined in the Constitution. You go to Article 115, where they say there shall be freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in Parliament, that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Parliament. But subsequently, you go to 116, it says subject to these provisions, but without etc. Civil or criminal proceedings shall not be instituted against a member of Parliament in any court or place out of Parliament for any member, etc. Of course, this talks about out of Parliament. But again, since we are talking about issues related to a conduct that may border on an activity related to crime, etc.
Article 41.
Okay, so Article 41, in essence, says that you enjoy certain rights.
Article 41F.
Now, you go to Article 41, it talks about those rights that you have, the exercise and enjoyment of freedoms and rights. Now, F says that to protect, so it shall be a duty of every citizen.
It shall be the duty of every
to protect
citizen.
And preserve public property.
To protect and preserve.
And expose and combat misuse.
Misuse.
And waste of public funds.
Misuse.
And property.
Misuse.
And you're talking about those pictures
where you see a member of parliament directly on audio say Muntutu cable no.
Muntutu table no nkaho.
What is
so
the
you're
reason?
saying that the distraction is misuse distraction of property?
Yes, and it is actually the responsibility and duty of every citizen of Ghana to prevent that.
Whether you are an MP or not.
It matters not. Responsibility of every citizen. And citizenship, the process of acquiring it, is clearly detailed in the Constitution itself. And so you cannot use privileges to undermine this overall duty of Ghanaian citizens. You cannot tell me that within Parliament, if you see a member of Parliament set fire into the parliamentary building, you should let go, because then he's immune from that criminal or civil. The intention of the framers of the Constitution is not to permit Parliament or MPs. You go and slap somebody on the floor of Parliament and say, I enjoy immunity. In fact, for immunity from prosecution, it's only the president and nobody else. If you're an MP and you perform your duties, that incurs loss to the Republic. It does not lie in your mouth to say, I enjoy immunity. The other thing too, bro, is the fact that I saw the MPP minority launch unwarranted attack on the female clerk of the appointments committee. I mean, it was regrettable and shameful. The woman never deserved that. If, for whatever it's worth, you have reason to believe that the time when the appointment committee started the vetting of, I think, Akando, there was an issue with it. You don't come and attack a woman in that manner. I think that Marlene Senior Afenyo Markin should watch that video again and will see that there was no basis for that attack. And possibly, as a gentleman that he is, and a Mason, he should kindly go and apologize to the woman. He should do that. There is great honor in apologizing to someone who has...
What he said at the time was that...
And in fact, because Afenyo is even a Mason, it even behoves on him to behave like a gentleman. Because
I don't understand.
Yes, as a Mason, there are conducts that are expected of you.
Masons, your conduct expects that you people...
There's a level
that you people have to conform to.
I am not a Mason. Just for clarification, I mean, you are just a mischief maker. Look at him. He's setting me up.
No, never.
I am not.
Okay.
You understand?
That was I have nothing against.
No, I have nothing against those who are.
My question. Please go ahead.
Those who are. But the point is that my friends who are Masons, they will tell you that you need to be like a gentleman to be a Mason. You understand? And so to attack a woman in such a manner was completely unwarranted. And I'll plead with Marlene Senior, the Honorable Afenyo Markin, to go back, soberly watch the video, and apologize to the woman. Even if not publicly, privately, she should speak to her that, look, this one, the heat was too much, and therefore, look, I'm sorry. It doesn't do anything to the conversation. Two, as you're aware, the claim has always been whether what speaker did. Yes, the flip side of it is that you can have a mischievous speaker of parliament who can decide that will use the process of suspension to deal with opponents, among other things. And that is why if you look at this one, he limited it to only 2 weeks, so that it does not become a punishment in perpetuity. So we need to also evaluate that particular matter. The other issue that for me is the fact that if you listen to Afenyo, he made the point that we are a mighty minority. You can see that consistently from the day Speaker described his group, the caucus, as a micro minority, there's a certain pushback from him. And I can understand where he's coming from. If you lead a group of people and suddenly you have been associated with insignificance, because honestly, after this vetting, really, what, with the greatest respect, okay, will be the use of the micro minority? Because you see, everything required to be done by Parliament is a simple majority. E-levy was passed with only one.
You mean ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, E-levy was passed with only one more MPP. In fact, they had to bring the MP in an ambulance for E-levy to be passed. With the overwhelming numbers that the NDC, and I trust the leadership of Marlene Senior, Roxin Dafiamekpo, as the whip, with a careful, whip, strategic, he can get the required numbers required in order to pass any, whether loans, get bills passed, among others. The ones that are required to test are major amendments of the Constitution. That's a different ballgame. That, again, the NDC would be able to marshal. So, after this vetting, with the greatest respect, what would actually become the use of Marlene Senior Afenyo Markin? You understand? So, let's permit him to bolster his ego a bit.
You think he only wants to be a force to be reckoned with?
No, you remember that even with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, he made a comment. he should wait and see. I mean, like basically saying man to man. But hey, after these vetting processes, really, you'll be leading a group that, with the greatest respect, will not be able to marshal any real significance. And maybe just I can conclude on this. So when the speaker limited the suspension to only 2 weeks, it's in line. Because the challenge is that you could have allowed them to be on the committee, and by the time the actual investigation is done, it will become what? Of no moment. Because then they would have finished the work on the appointment committee, and the report of whatever investigation will be of no use. So maybe the suspension came timely, just to send a message that, look, going forward as Speaker, he's not going to tolerate this kind of conduct. Maybe it also exposes a certain lacuna in the laws that we have. What happens? In organization, you can have interdiction pending investigation into a conduct. It doesn't mean that judgment has been passed on you. It is still a requirement of due process that has been fulfilled. And maybe just let me conclude on this. As H.E. John Dramani Mahama made clear on the campaign that he was going to set up a committee to actually engage Ghanaians on the way forward for the economy, to the way forward on education. Thankfully, within this period, the president had fulfilled those significant milestones. And I'm very confident that the groups that will be coming out to engage Ghanaians on education and the economy will provide what will be lasting for all of us. Okay. So once again, I just want to put this on record.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we know that going forward, the concern that had been expressed by Penyo Makin is that there seemed to be an effort to kind of disregard them. And so, for example, in that concern he had raised, even though...
disregarded them with the numbers.
All right. So he, when he was accusing the clerk of the committee, for example, he said, you convened a meeting without informing us, etc., and some of those things. Would you have those as a consideration? Or you say by observation, he just wants to be a force to be reckoned with because of the numbers that they have?
So, as much as really wasn't the right thing, wasn't for the clerk to have done was to rightly inform all members where there's a meeting. I think the response, the approach by Afenyo and how they've handled themselves in its entirety over the life of the 9th Parliament gives the impression that their focus is on their parochial interest as against what's in the interest of the country. Because really, if your interest is to ensure that the right thing is done, then there was no point you playing this out in public, organizing a press conference, chastising the woman in the manner that he did. He could easily have resolved this internally. As in really, if their focus, if their purpose, if their agenda was to ensure that the right procedure is done. You see, there's one thing that is worrying for me, and I think this worry has been there for some time now, is what fuels some of these politicians, especially the leadership of the current New Patriotic Party. Because, people have expressed the view that they have been granted the impression that the whole focus of the minority is to settle score. They may be right, they may be wrong, but that's the impression they are given, and it feeds into my personal opinion as what fuels them. And for me, my view is that, and I'm very fortified in that belief, that what fuels them is very parochial as against patriotic, and the reason why they do what they do is not because they want to build the kind of Ghana we want. That the reason why they do what they do is essentially in fulfillment of their own parochial agenda in terms of their political party, parochial agenda in terms of their personal political ambitions, as against what is in the ultimate interest of the country, and is a reflection of the current character and spirit that fuels the New Patriotic Party. I said here once before that, in my view, the new patriotic party is a threat to the rule of law, and everything that's happening fortifies my belief in that. Their blatant disregard for the law. People, parliamentarians, MP, who are supposed to protect.
Is it not because their numbers are small, so they want to be that forced to be recognized?
Must you be two? We are one. I'm one. You are one. Must you be two to have a? Why was the political party formed in the first place? New Patriotic Party as a political party. Why was it formed in the first place? It was formed to uphold the laws of the country. You understand? To help in guaranteeing for all of us the rule of law, in fostering the right culture. You understand? That would tolerate what's called diverse views and hold political leadership accountable. But over the past few years, they are not exuding those values. In fact, indeed, it's as if they are fighting against those values, those principles. And for me, that's the worry. That's in the way they've conducted themselves during the life of this veteran. As in the position of even the leader himself. You understand? And the fact that in their statement, there was no space for a profound apology to the people of Ghana. In their statement, is there an apology in their statement?
No, but they said they've done no wrong.
Is all. And that's a worry. For people who took an oath just about 21 days ago to protect, defend the Constitution of Ghana, and to have the view that this sad, disgraceful conduct doesn't constitute a wrong, does not impugn on the integrity, the dignity of Parliament. Tells you how low the party has sunk. You get a view. And I think the people of Ghana, in defense of the purpose, the focus, the object of this constitution, you understand, the people of Ghana, in their quest to advance the values and principles that will guarantee for us the rule of law, they need to question the very essence of the new patriotic party as a political party, because our focus simply has to be to advance the cause of this country. And anything that anybody does that undermines that focus, that purpose, really is an attack on Ghana.
And our people are not even.
All right.
But the national interest must always.
Dr. Efree, are you still on the stream?
You understand?
Dr. Efree, okay. So now we have Dr. Efree.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
All right. Now, in the minority statement, they do state that the Speaker has on numerous occasions presided over a parliament where similar or worse incidents occurred, yet no such punitive measures were taken. The refusal to apply the same standard in previous instances makes this decision appear politically motivated, aimed at intimidating certain members of parliament and silence dissent. What do you say to that?
Well, from the perspective of the minority, they are just giving the past of what has happened and what the role of the Speaker. But Roland, you can realize that sometimes that's what I said earlier, that there's a gap somewhere. Maybe the Speaker has cautioned them. Maybe leadership met on those times to resolve issues. Yeah, we cannot just come out with anything, but maybe on behind closed doors, the Speaker and leadership then could have tried to talk to them, tried to have a way to comport themselves or to conduct themselves well. So, but I believe that still things are moving on or going on as if that there's nothing at stake. And that is what maybe, so the perspective of the minority is just to draw. That's what I'm saying, that we don't have code of conduct for MPs, discipline procedures, speakers also the power to also suspend on what basis. These are the guards, and you cannot also justify current actions based on what previous action. You can't use previous action to justify current actions. I think when situation happens, you deal with as it is. And that is what I believe that is a new way for power to reassure, to come up with standard. I think it's a way that will improve parliament. Because if as a human institution, if things don't happen that way for certain decisions to be taken, I believe that we can't improve as people. So I believe that we can't use the previous precedents as a way to justify current actions. Maybe it's a time that we all have to sit up and learn and improve our ways of doing things.
Now, going forward, knowing that this is the reaction of the Speaker, what is your expectation from all sides, so to speak, even from the chair of the committee?
I think immediately the leadership, both sides has to meet. We try to meet the Speaker so that they will find ways of trying to handle some of these issues. At the same time, I believe that the chair of the appointment committee also need to have a way of trying to bring the two sides. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I said earlier that Muhammad Ayariga, that is my majority leader, helped in this direction. So I think that the chairman should demonstrate that kind of diplomacy, that kind of engagement, even though they try. But I think he has to up his game in terms of that, in that direction, so that we can have some kind of should I say, sanity in the appointment committee. And I think people are talking about the minority side being so unnecessary questions and that kind of taking more time. You know, it's a strategy for all minority leaders or maybe minority side. You know, they just come from election, humiliating defeat. So, and having this number, you need to also prove yourself. So I see it as a political strategy, as a way, maybe you disagree, but it's a way to let others or the majority side also know that they are alive. They're not like they would not be taken for granted. I've been saying that they cannot make any major impact, but they can be disruptive in your process. They can frustrate your process. So I believe that we also have to look at that side where we can. It's a strategy that the minority want all of us to know that they are alive.
Okay. So let me get this from your response. The Choboy Aluta thing is strategy.
Oh, no, Choboy. No, the Choboy, maybe it can be when they seem that they want to, they are being not, in quotes, not respected, not being consulted, because that's what I'm saying, that the majority side should not be in a mood where, in a mood that is like, I have the numbers, so I can pay myself way without considering the minority. Okay. That is how the perception is going on, yes. So in that case, they also have a resistive kind of approach towards any action that the majority will be taking. Because I don't think that there should be any Choboy. Choboy is I think, in our current dispensation, Choboy is not necessary for our democracy.
Well, thank you very much.
I think, Roland, that is why it becomes necessary to applaud the conduct of the majority leader, the Honorable Muhammad Ayariga. You see, if you have a minority that has, by way of this strategy, disruption and attention seeking, you need a majority leader who can handle them with a lot of tact. Imagine when the incident happened, the majority leader had come in to pour in more petrol. There would have been chaos and further disruption. But look at the smart manner in which he basically put the matters to rest. I think that this is why we need to encourage and how to handle the ego of the minority. Look, losing an election by 1.7 million votes is definitely not a joke. It can really break your confidence. And you need some things to, as it were, bring that confidence.
Now we have, just as we wrap up, we have a committee that's been put in place, as announced by the presidency, to convene the national dialogue on education. We know that the foremost sector will be secondary education. What do you think they need to do to get the pool of all stakeholders together and then their terms of reference, so to speak, for the main dialogue itself?
Certainly, I think this president has a lot of goodwill, so it shouldn't be what's it called too difficult. But I think also if they're able to set the right agenda, then it will be easy to get the buy-in of the masses of the people, because I think the fundamental issue facing our education, especially secondary education, is the financing, is the funding, and then looking at how to get, in my opinion, private sector to invest in our education so that we can fund it. So once the right agenda is set, once they are able to identify what the issues are, what the problems are, and once they're able to communicate same, I don't think it should be a struggle to get the attention of the masses of the people in this dialogue, especially as clearly this president seems to have a lot of goodwill, and personally I think that he's started very well with the level and caliber of his appointees and how he's generally handled issues. So yes, I'll make that call again. As in, we are resetting Ghana. It's not just the duty of the president. It's not just the duty of the NDC to reset Ghana. Where we are as a nation, we all know that we need to critically look at our position and our focus, and then make a radical change. And that won't be successful if it does not include the buy-in of every single Ghanaian. Nobody will build that country for us. Let all of us join hands, support the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Let's reset this country. Let's build a strong nation, a nation that can reclaim its place once again as the Black Star of Africa.
Roland.
Dr. Free.
Roland. I think
Yes, Roland.
The education dialogue, you have the last one.
Okay.
The education.
Yes. The education dialogue, it's good that the president, I think he promised Ghanaians in this direction that he will come out with a forum to have a discussion on education. So I believe that is what this committee has set. And our educational setup has a lot of challenges as previous government in terms of, I know that debt might be an issue, financial situation. We talk about contracts that need to be honored. We talk about numbers, infrastructure. These are issues that need to be looked at. And at the same time, we also have to look at how our progression, the policies, connectivity, and other things. So when we bring these experts together, we will know the direction in which we are moving towards. So I think this is a good, and he promised Ghanaians, and we expect that we have the brains that will come out with the best way for our educational sector.
All right, thank you very much as well. And it's been good having you, Dr. Samuel Ifriye, and helping us do the discussions. And your last word before we go.
I mean, just like H.E. John Dramani Mahama said on the campaign, you do not want that Kwekwananse kind of leadership where an individual assumes that all knowledge resides with them. You want a process of consultation that establishes the clear benchmarks. What do we expect of our education? Basic, the secondary, and university. The aspect that we put together would ultimately advise the president on the way forward. One thing is clear. Free SHS is not going to be cancelled, but would be improved greatly. I've seen a video that is viral of the school, the SHS students, basically saying they thank His Excellency, the President, John Dramani Mahama, for not cancelling free SHS. It was never going to be the case, except that our friends in the MPP created that phobia around it for the purposes of hoodwinking like Ghanaians to retain them in power. Thank to the voters for ensuring the 1.7 million gap. We will build a Ghana that is better for all of us. Education is the reason why you, myself, Roland, we are here. Without it, we are nobody. And so anything to work and ensure that quality education comes out of our secondary education, all of us should encourage it. And I know, as media people, you'll be there to contribute to the discussion, to bring the views, so that ultimately we'll build a better Ghana, So
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Wishing you all the best for the day. Lawyer Pia Dankwa, you're going to court today? Not today. And then also Eduji Tamaklo, the chief executive, acting in that position for the MPA. I wish you all the best for the day as well. And Dr. Samuel Efri also joining us as well.
And Doc, thank you so much.
Great discussion so far. Let me read a number of your messages. And this one is coming from Chairman Prosper. He says, you see, I told you the last time that I truly fear for the future of the NDC and the precedent that is being set. Deliberate act by the micro-minority leader, Apenyo, doing to the youth of the NDC. It looks as if the front runners who led the campaign for the NDC in 2024 are being targeted. And this has been rightly put by Eduji Tamaklo. So you find that this will put a lot of fear in young people in the future, because whatever they say on social media, etc., and videos even will be played to them. Where is this done in any dispensation? Just look at what has been done to Kwame Agboja for roads, Dr. Atoforsen, Dr. Omani Boama, Samu Kujetu, and the rest, and then also Sam George as well. This should not be accepted. This should be condemned. And then we have other comments as well. This one is coming from Helga Boedi. Good morning to Helga Boedi. Such a shameful display from the mini minority. And when you're descriptive to, they get upset. Something is fundamentally wrong with this micro group, Helga Boedi said. This one is coming from Kwame Osebunsu in Kumasi, who says that Apenyo Makin has indeed shown that he is a great leader, a great lawyer, and he's ready to lead a charge irrespective of the numbers that the MPP has in Parliament. And you can clearly see that they don't want to leave any stone unturned. And that truly is the hallmark of a great leader. It is still possible. 2028, you say. And then also have for this one from Prince Henry Kofodia. The behavior of the minority will keep the MPP in position for long. I agree with Eduji that the chair of the committee is being tougher, but I will urge the chair to be tougher on the minority leader. And, Kwame Boateng says, just look at the behavior of the minority, and you will find that it is in reaction to what is being meted out to them. A certain atmosphere that has been couched by the majority to make sure that they cow the minority to submission. But under the leadership of Apenyo Makin, this is never going to happen. We love him and the way he's behaving. The next time the team or the committee convenes, he should behave the same way. MPP, Apenyo Makin, Yetawechi, I say. And then Mike Kofi Aflu says, greetings to my sister, Cookie T, a.k.a. Shelly Fati Sebela. Okay. Cookie, greetings from Mike Aflu. And he says I should ask you what's happening by the way of the status of outstanding cases in court in the parliamentary elections. That's what he said. And then we have other comments as well, all coming in right here. Neil Ante van der Poel says, please note that the Speaker is clothed with the authority to suspend an MP at any time when a member behaves disorderly. Refer to Articles 35 and then also 36 of the standing orders. That is, please respectfully read Order 35 and Order 36. I've perused them, but we'll have to take a critical look at them as well. And Chairman Kokoti, wherever you're watching us from, please, we're grateful that you joined us this morning. But gentlemen, wishing you all the best for the day. We're taking a break, but again,
to my senior brother Godwin Tamaklo.
Okay, well. Certainly. A number of you say you're celebrating your birthday today, and so I wish you all the best for the day. But also, it's the birthday of one of our loyal viewers. His son is celebrating the birthday. It says, "Happy birthday, Egbert Etokwa Medro, Volta Rising Stars Academy Hall" as well. You're celebrating your birthday. And then also, Mami Ichampong says that the brother is celebrating the birthday. That's from Mabel Mame Sewe Champong. Says, my brother, Michael Nanakwesi Champong is celebrating the birthday. I wish you all the best for the day from Mabel Mame Sewe Champong.
John Dumelo.
John Dumelo.
Remember that the head office, MP head office, is in his constituency, so he's the landlord. I don't want to be, you know, to be in contempt of my landlord. So happy birthday to
my
him.
landlord is also celebrating his birthday, so I wish you a happy birthday, my landlord.
John DeMello is my
But we
landlord.
have star 439 hash. Please make sure you cash out. I'm looking forward to the big day. That will be on Friday where we have the mega jackpot. But for today, you choose option 2. And when you dial, you're going to have a prompt. So you choose option 2. You're going to get a prompt for you to increase the number of tickets you have. Increase those tickets as many times as you can. You become one of those lucky winners when we do the draws. And star 439 hash, cash out big, big, big time. Now, just listen to this. Every time you eat, food and sugars are trapped between your teeth, leading to tooth decay. Now, gum disease and in some cases, foul breath also coming in their wake. Now, brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they deserve, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is indeed fortified with pro-fluoride and micro-calcium ingredients, sealing tiny and visible holes in your teeth. This also prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong, and mouth very healthy. Pepsodent Cavity comes in 175 gram big family pack, 120 gram Ejakwa pack, and then 65 gram and 12 gram sachets all available. So you can always get what you can afford at any time. So don't just use toothpaste that brush your teeth. Also use Pepsodent that protect your teeth. Always remember to brush your teeth in the morning and before you sleep at night. Pepsodent has been educating Ghanaians on how to brush their teeth for the past 25 years, and they keep doing so. As a result, Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association. Now, Pepsodent gives you the opportunity to talk to a dentist for free. And so this is how you need to make sure you access that service. You just have to call toll-free on the number 0800 161 000 to talk to any dentist for free. You can get Pepsodent at any shop near you. Call the customer care line on 0800 2000 30 0800 2000 30. All right, so 30. And Pepsodent, every smile indeed matters. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're going to bring you the latest sports headlines we have from 3 Sports. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
On a recent